Welcome to the Fillmore podcast. This is episode 18. I am the poet. I am joined by Zaki, and we'll be looking at Sega and its history. A great look at some of the machines that came out of Sega's catalog. So, without further ado, please welcome Zaki to the program. What's going on?
The best man, the better man.
You wish, you wish.
Yeah, we're just going to look at Sega throughout the years. And I really felt that Sega is like underrated, I guess, in a way. Because it's like anyone that came playing with Michael Jordan, no matter how good you were, people always talked about Jordan. I think that was kind of like how Sega was initially against Nintendo. I would look at it that way. And that's how I always felt personally.
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Especially starting off with the Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the Master System came out before that. But I literally heard about the Master System like in my late 20s. Like I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think in North America it wasn't that popular. It was popular in Europe and South America, like Brazil and stuff like that. But yeah, I never heard about the Master System until I was older. So yeah, for me, the first taste was basically the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your first memories of that machine? And then I'll talk about mine.
Yeah, just before that, this was actually a request from the K9 who mentioned that he wanted to talk about Sega. So,
K9, quick to the grind.
K9, shout out. What's going on? So, my first memory was playing at a friend's house, and he had Sonic on his Genesis, and he had other games too, like Streets of Rage 1 and 2. But Sonic was my first experience, and he let me play, and I was just amazed by the speed of the character and how good the game was. I found it difficult at that time, but it was really refreshing, especially the speed, I think, and the originality of the character. It kind of blew me away. In a way, I was jealous. I was like, ah, man, I wish I had a Genesis or a Mega Drive. So those were my first memories.
Yeah. So for me, I vaguely remember always hearing about the Genesis, but I never saw one in person. Briefly, I saw at your friend's house, same guy. I think I was Streets of Rage 2 or Streets of Rage 1. I can't remember which one.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really saw Sonic in action.
Yeah.
Maybe other than TV adverts and just memorabilia, all that kind of stuff. Because where we live, not many people had the Genesis. The friend we're talking about didn't live in that area full time, basically, so we didn't see it that much. Everyone was into the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I was at the age too where you were one of the other, like
Yeah.
Nike or Reebok, Pepsi or Coke,
Right.
and Super Nintendo or Genesis. Like you couldn't be both as a kid.
Rivalry.
Yeah, rivalry.
Yeah. And the parents are not going to buy both machines, right? They're going to buy you one. And
Yeah,
I remember
most parents are going to buy you one.
Yeah.
I know some people had two later on, but yeah.
Yeah, and there was some kids in school. There was one kid especially. He's like, "Oh man, Mario's so slow. He sucks. Sonic is the best. Mario stinks. Mario's for kids." I was like, "What? You're a kid too?" But at that time, he just took trash talk for no reason, But I remember that. Like, I was like, "Man, in a way, you might be right. Not that it's better, but I always wanted that other thing, right? Like that you don't have. You always want what you don't have, kind of thing." And I think that friend you mentioned, who only used to come for summers, really, because he didn't live there full time. He was at least my avenue into like Streets of Rage 1, Streets of Rage 2, and Sonic 1 and 2, I believe. There may be other games, but I can't remember them at this time. He might have had Mortal Kombat 2 later on with the blood. But those were my memories, and that was my access. When we moved to England, did you get a Genesis straight away, or was it like 97, 98?
I didn't finish with my memories. We could go to England.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, I always knew about the Genesis, like I said. And then my best friend at the time went to Canada for the summer holidays. And it was like a close community, so you pretty much knew when someone left and someone came back. So I knew when he was coming back. I don't know how, but I just knew when. Or I was just playing on the street and I saw his car, his family car, pull up to his house because we literally lived like a 2 minute walk, right? So
Yeah.
he came out and he was smiling at me. I'm like, hey, yeah, how's it going? And he wasn't holding like his backpack or like a suitcase. The guy was literally holding a Sega Genesis box. So he went to Canada, got a Sega Genesis, and that's the thing he was holding in the car coming home, and that's the first thing I saw too. So I let him go home and get unpacked and all stuff, and then later that night I went and he had can't remember all the games he had, but the one that sticks out in my memory is X-Men. X Men was huge too at that time.
Echo the Dolphin, I think he had as well.
Yeah, maybe Echo Dolphin. I think this was like '93. I want to say maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I just remember watching X Men and playing a bit of it, and then finally being able to play the Genesis properly for the first time.
Yeah.
And like you, you always want the thing you don't have, right? You always find that more shiny and it looks better, just to you. And I mean, it's unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I didn't know the history about it and everything, I always wondered, like, hey, how come this only has 3 buttons? The Super Nintendo has, 6.
Yeah.
So it looked cool and everything, but I thought it was like a downgrade from the Super Nintendo right away. But I was jealous of a few games, like X-Men. Like, that game is not that good, X-Men 1 or 2, but just the way the sprites look, like, so big and clear.
Yeah.
And as a kid, that kind of appeals to you. So I remember playing that, and that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I also played games that were on both systems. Another guy had a little later on NBA All Star Challenge, which we had on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And you can notice the differences, like the shadowing and stuff wasn't there on the Genesis, and it was harder to play. Street Fighter 2, like you had to press start or something just to change from kicks and punches. So hell no, it was cool, but I was glad I had a Super Nintendo. But on the back of my mind, I secretly wanted a Genesis as well. But the first product I actually bought of Sega was a Game Gear, actually. So I got a Game Gear pretty late, around, I would say, 94.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
like I said, I didn't know what a Master System was. So when I went to the shop and they had it on display, I thought it was a portable, pretty much Genesis. I didn't know anything else, right? So, because they had Sonic playing on it.
Yeah.
And coming from the Game Boy background, if you compare the two, there's a huge difference of how the games look, right? With color and everything. So
that Sonic on the Master System, is that the same Sonic on the Genesis?
Game Gear. No, it's the same one on the Game Gear.
Oh, okay. Right.
But they're obviously just like playing the intro, right? So, and plus, I'd never seen Sonic at this point, so on the Genesis, other than like the first level, which always looks the same on every Sonic game, right? So I thought it was the same game, but obviously the same color, the first color handheld in my life, because I saw Link's later, TurboGrafx way later, but Genesis was the first one I saw, and comparing it to my Game Boy at home, it was just like night and day, right? So they begged their parents to get it, and eventually did. And like I had columns that came with it, and Mortal Kombat 2. So, which was awesome. That Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Gear holds up really well even today.
Yeah, interesting.
And yeah, people like to make fun of the Game Gear and its batteries and stuff, which is true. It finishes like in an hour or 2 hours, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I always just played with the adapter at home. Even with the Game Boy, I was never comfortable taking outside. Like you couldn't even see the screen in the sun. Like where would when people always complain like the battery sucks on the Game Gear, but yeah, bullshit. You didn't play your Game Boy outside either, right? Everyone played at home, or they would take it to their friend's house and play. Like
yeah, true.
No one was sitting there under a tree playing a Game Boy. And as a kid, you mess around so much, you would have broke it anyway. So
or you had stolen. Worst of all.
Yeah, stolen, or you're playing basketball and the ball just like falls on it or something in the bag. Like you just didn't take it out with you.
Yeah.
So that battery thing didn't bother me at all. Like I had it plugged in, and at night in my bed I would just be playing Game Gear, loving it, and being Sub-Zero and messing people up. Mortal Kombat 2. So yeah, that was the first purchase I got. Then I finally got the Mega Drive. It was called. It was a Model 2, and I got that pretty late. So around early '96, I would say, or maybe late '95. That's when I got it. Just
I think it was 96. I don't think you had it in Saudi.
I did have it in Saudi. That's where I bought it.
Oh, wow. Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because I bought it.
Okay.
It was actually in Euromarché. It was a Taiwan edition model.
Okay, okay. Right.
So I remember, yeah, playing. The Super Nintendo was plugged downstairs. The Genesis, my parents let me plug it in their room.
Oh, that's why I don't remember because, yeah, it wasn't in that room. Right.
So yeah, it was '96. So it was before we moved. So
That's interesting.
and yeah, it was a second model. So it came with the button controller.
Yeah, I remember that 6-button controller. What?
And I had Sonic 3 was the first game I got with it.
Oh, yeah.
So Sonic 3 was pretty much the first Sonic I played. So which is why it's probably my favorite one, just due to nostalgia.
And then didn't you get International Superstar Soccer Deluxe?
That was much later, yeah. So later in England, luckily the game still worked.
Yeah.
The games I can remember were International Superstar Soccer Deluxe,
Yeah. Konami, yeah.
Mickey and Donald Duck, World of Illusion, really good co-op two-player game. Test Drive Deal something.
Yep.
And I had
Brian Lara Cricket, 1996.
Yeah, Cricket 96 and
Awesome
Primal Rage. I had Primal Rage.
You had Primal Rage? Oh, wow. Did you have Aladdin? Or was that later?
No, that was much later. So I think, yeah, that was as far as I went with the Mega Drive. I used to rent out, for some reason, Pete Sampras Tennis all the time from the local video game movie store.
Good old days, man. You could go to the movie store and rent games.
Yeah, so, and this was like the end of like the era of these gaming machines. So
yeah.
Just after, I don't know, maybe about 4 months later, I got the PlayStation 1, so I stopped playing the Mega Drive at that time. So those were the games I remember owning and playing.
Yeah, I remember us playing Brian Lara Cricket for hours. It was such a good game. 2-player game. You could even play 4-player where you could pass the controller. Remember? We played with our cousins. It was super fun.
Yeah, and I think so. I enjoyed the Mega Drive probably more than you because I played in that gap where you didn't.
Yeah,
I think you stopped playing the Super Nintendo for a bit too at that time.
That's true.
Near the end, so you weren't gaming as much. So I was just playing.
No, it wasn't.
Sonic 3, and yeah, so the Genesis I didn't get to explore properly. I would say until I was an adult, I think, where I really realized, oh shit, this is an amazing system, you know.
Yeah.
And when you find out that it came out like 2 years before, almost 2 years before the Super Nintendo, that's even more impressive. Like Sega as a company actually impressed me more than Nintendo from what they had to do from a small company competing with a giant.
Yeah, that's why I want to get that book, Console Wars, which details the Sega versus Super Nintendo war. I think Sega did really great. You know, it's like I don't know how to compare it, but it's like so much smaller than Nintendo. Like we don't, as a kid, you don't know that, right? You don't know the resources and the size. And they were very innovative in their design and their gaming. They make it different, you know, to Nintendo.
Yeah, because their marketing was on point. I remember visiting our parents' home country, and I could see Sonic merchandise all around in South Asia, like Sonic hats, those Tiger handheld games. A cousin had it, so like I actually saw Sonic Sega advertisement more than Nintendo overseas at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when I grew older and I started checking out the games, like exclusive games, obviously all the Sonic games, Gunstar Heroes.
Oh yeah.
Comic Zone.
Yeah.
All the Streets of Rage.
Oh, I think Streets of Rage is the greatest beat 'em up series of all times.
Yeah. I think as a series, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
Turtles in Time maybe as one game, but as a series, Streets of Rage.
yeah, especially that it was a two-player right away. I think if Final Fight on the Super Nintendo was two-player, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be up there, but
But then yeah, Final Fight 3 was a little weak. But so was Streets of Rage 3, I guess. But yeah, out of
yeah.
those two, but yeah, I'll still give it to Streets of Rage, especially with the number 4 as well.
Yeah, we had fun with that one, didn't we? That was a good one.
But
Right.
yeah, just like realizing that different games existed, like Sega had its own Contra, the hardcore. It had its own Castlevania Bloodlines.
Yeah.
It had its own bloody Turtles game. That
A couple of
I didn't
different
know
levels.
about that till like 10 years ago, maybe even less.
Hyperstone Heist.
Hyperstone Heist, where they
When did you get Aladdin then? Was it a lot like 20s, 30s? I can't remember when did you actually get to play that?
funny thing about Aladdin on the Genesis, I first played it over at uncle's house on computer on DOS. They had the Genesis version on DOS around '95,
Okay.
and I thought it was so cool. On the Genesis, I got that much later. I would say the 2000s, 2008 maybe,
Yeah, I mean that was actually different from Super
2009.
Nintendo. It was actually a different developer, and also they worked with the Disney animators. So the animation was and the art was actually Disney animators. So it was amazing, and it's actually the third greatest selling Genesis game of all time. I don't know if you
Oh,
knew.
another game I had was Lion King on the Genesis, which I loved
Lion
as
King
well.
as well from the same
A
studio.
lot of people thought it was hard, but I got through it. And some parts are a bit hard, but yeah, the
Yeah,
first like 3 4 levels I breezed through it. But
yeah. I
that's
think we
another
should
one.
mention that those Aladdin and Lion King have been remade for the Switch, which you can buy.
I think they released on everything, but yeah, they
Oh yeah.
remade.
So check out those remakes if you missed it and you don't have a Genesis. You can still get it on modern systems. But yeah, Aladdin definitely as I was saying, third best selling Genesis game of all time after Sonic One and Two. So it's up there. It's up there as one of the best platformers of all time.
So Genesis came out like '89 in North America, 1990 in Europe. So yeah, I never owned one till like late '95, early '96. So that was pretty cool. From there, the Sega CD, there was all these add-ons, right? Which some people said harmed them a lot. Sega CD, which allowed better audio in a lot of the games, and obviously allowed a little like cutscenes here and there. Games like Batman Returns actually has an extra level on the CD where you're driving. So the Sega CD was kind of cool. I had that too when I was older, not when I was younger. The 32X I think was garbage. I think I only had like a few games, 14
Hmm.
games or something, but
Yeah.
I had that too when I got older. Didn't really like it. There must be probably are some good games on it. At least it's exclusives, but the Sega CD didn't really have exclusive games other than the same games with a few.
Was Sega CD an add-on or was it a completely different system? I can't remember.
It's an add-on to the Sega Genesis, so you have to plug in your Genesis into the Sega
Okay.
CD.
Okay.
So
Right.
there's a lot of plugs and all that shit to do with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has its own power source too and everything.
Yeah.
And the 32X has its own power source, so you have to have 3 of those bitches plugged in at the once. But yeah, I mean, it's cool if you think about it. I mean, Nintendo were about to do the same thing with
Yeah.
with the
So
whole Sony thing. So
Sony, right?
they
Panasonic.
obviously thought it was a good idea too, but they got out of it. But yeah, so Genesis, and then the next machine they released home console was Sega Saturn,
Hmm.
and this is probably the system I'm least familiar with out of the list. I would
Yeah.
say, well,
Do you have one? I can't remember. Like recently, did you get one?
yeah, I got one again. I had one about 7 8 years ago too. But even at that time, the games were stupidly expensive.
Yeah.
But my memories are very clear. It was either a PlayStation One or a Sega Saturn. So I was debating which one to get all summer holidays. I remember N64 didn't come out yet, so it was on the picture.
Hmm.
And there was a relative of ours who's trying to convince me to get the Saturn, but even at that time, we knew the PlayStation was killing Saturn in terms of sales, right?
Yeah.
So I waited. The cousin got Saturn, so I got to play a bit at his house. But I still went for PlayStation, which I still believe is a better system
Yeah.
till today. But yeah, didn't have a Saturn until I was much older. Like,
I don't think I've ever played a Saturn. Have I? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically Saturn was mainly a 2D machine that they added 3D in the last minute
Okay.
to compete with the PlayStation.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool 2D ish, 2.3, whatever they call 2.5 games, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But the 3D games, yeah, they aged badly, some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the famous games people talk about, Shining Force and like Panzer Dragon.
Sonic. There must be a Sonic on there.
Saturn did not have a mainstream Sonic game.
Oh wow.
It had like this weird Sonic Racers or something where you race each other or something. I don't know, but no proper like Sonic.
Didn't have a platformer. Okay.
Didn't have a platformer Sonic, which I'll say hurt the system. And it's dumb if you think about it. Like, which idiot thought that would be a good idea not to release it?
I know. Let's not put a Sonic game on this system, which is our biggest selling franchise.
Yeah, so that was a dumbass thing.
I don't know.
Apparently, a lot like Sega from Japan and Sega from USA were like arguing a lot, and
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, there was a lot of
like
infighting. Yeah.
So Saturn's alright. Yeah, they're really expensive games. Some of them are fun. I've like downloaded them wherever, and it's cool. It's a cool thing to have. But again, I don't regret getting the PlayStation before it. I think the PlayStation gave me many good memories, and I'll pick the PlayStation over it. But that's like, I think that's a theme. I like Sega, but there's always a machine that I like better at the time. You know.
Yeah, I think by this time Sega wasn't as strong as it used to be back in the Genesis days.
Yeah, I think it was when they released the 32X, like a year later they released the Saturn. So it was like a 1 year, so people were pissed off.
Yeah.
Too many products in a short span of time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I didn't think much of the Saturn at the time. I got it PlayStation, then after PlayStation I got the N64. And yeah, I didn't really care too much about the Saturn until I was older. It's a cool system, but I think it's overrated. Some again, unless you like shooters and all that kind of stuff, people love that machine. But it wasn't until 1999 where I saw the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah.
In HMV, I believe,
Yeah.
playing virtual tennis.
Oh yeah.
This not look so cool. I always loved tennis games.
Yeah.
And I love tennis as a sport. And it looked so fun. And when you got to play it, oh man, it was amazing, right? Like as soon as we played it, we had to get a Dreamcast at home just to play this one game. The controller was like cool, and it had like a cool memory card.
Yeah, I always regret we didn't get more games on the system. You too?
Yeah. I think when we got it, we were like, you were like into your teens, like late teens.
Yeah.
I was in my early teens, so yeah. I mean, we already had the GameCube and we had the PlayStation 2 at this point too.
We just kind of left in our sister's room.
Yeah, so we already had so much stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, later again. I mean, I still have that Dreamcast.
Yeah.
In like a taxi. What was it? Taxi Driver? No, that's the movie, right?
Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi, yeah. Crazy Taxi, Shenmue, all that stuff. Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
1 and 2. Like a proper mainline Sonic platforming game again in 3D, first time. Really fun. And there's a lot of other games, but like Rumble to Boxing. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Ready to Rumble, sorry. Ready to Rumble Boxing.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, but like no one I knew actually had a Dreamcast other than us. Like no relative had it.
No,
none of my friends had it. So like I couldn't borrow games off people or anything.
Yeah, that would be the thing to do. Like you'd borrow games from people in school or whatever.
Yeah, everything else you could borrow games and have fun with it. But yeah, so I didn't get to explore it that much until I was older, and we learned how to copy games and put it on there. You don't have to do any hack or anything. So
Yeah.
We copied a few like soccer games,
Yeah. I
and
remember
then
that
later,
game.
yeah, I tried a few games that are pretty fun, like Resident Evil Code Veronica. It came on PlayStation 2 as well.
Mm.
Jet Set Radio. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It has other big games I didn't play, like Skies of Arcadia, because I'm not into RPGs. But Soul Calibur came out on Dreamcast first. That's a
Oh,
cool
cool.
game.
Yeah.
House of Dead 2. So yeah, it was always like a cool system, but it was like an arcade, right? It was like a built console that was like an arcade, and I kind of treated it like that, where you go to arcade, you play it for an hour or two, and you turn it off. You don't play every day, right?
Right. Right. Right.
That's how I treated Dreamcast. Like, yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it had all the again. Sega started that whole um, Sega going online on your damn console, right? They had a keyboard. You could connect a modem or a built-in modem in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, innovation. Innovation.
yeah, innovation. And I think they were awesome, right?
Yeah.
The one thing they left out, which I think truly did kill them, was not having like a DVD player in there, because that was the dawn of the DVDs, right? It was a new thing. Everybody wanted one. A DVD player was
Mm.
expensive on its own.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 with a built-in DVD.
That's true. That's true.
And that was my first DVD player too, my PlayStation 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so I think if Dreamcast had that kind of feature, and of course they got hacked, so
Yeah.
that was it, man. That was the last system, and they crashed and burned. But they stayed on as software, but the hardware side.
Yeah. Which is sad. I mean, it's good that they're still making games and stuff, but
Another piece of hardware I did buy again,
yeah.
around 2000, I want to say 2012 maybe, was the Sega Nomad, which I didn't even know existed.
What? What the hell's that? Oh, is that weird machine?
That was a portable Genesis where you just plug in Genesis games and you
Oh,
can
right.
play.
Right.
So it was like a Game Gear, but for like Sega Genesis,
Oh, that's crazy.
and it was the official Sega product. So, and
Oh, okay.
if like Nintendo did something like that back in the day, people would have went crazy, man.
Superboy. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like a third party, right? But like Super Nintendo didn't make anything.
No.
Like if they made something like that back in the days, like oh man, people would be going crazy playing that on the go.
Yeah.
If I could play Super Nintendo in my bed on a little screen, I would go crazy
Yeah.
at that time, right? So I got to give it to Sega for that. That's cool, unique ideas. I think they had too many ideas, and that's what killed them. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, hopefully, if I get to read that book, I can figure out what actually happened behind the scenes.
yeah, I think a lot of things just went wrong at the same time. But
Yeah, I mean, good thing they're still making Sonic games. Yakuza series is by Sega.
oh, I love Yakuza. So yeah,
I've been really enjoying Yakuza 6, so the Sonic is still going strong. So Sega is still out there, but only a software, but it's better than nothing, I suppose.
yeah, I'm not unless like Microsoft or someone decides not to do it anymore. I don't ever see them coming back into hardware too. A lot of people keep thinking Dreamcast 2 will come out, but
No, I think
I,
they've lost too much ground, and they're probably more profitable to make games for other systems at the moment.
yeah, and if their main games are licensed to other machines, then what's the point, right?
Yeah,
Unless like everything just ran out and they owned Sonic completely and all these other games and
exclusive. Yeah.
exclusive, and they released them in their own machine. I don't see the point, but yeah, at least they're still around. It is sad that there isn't on the hardware. I kind of wish there was another hardware, but I mean, three is enough, I guess. But Sega, yeah, awesome company, I think. Awesome machines, really good games.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just they were the Reebok to my Nike, the Dominique Wilkins to my Jordan. So they were always
Yeah.
never on top for me. Every machine, like Genesis, I like Super Nintendo. Dreamcast, I like PlayStation and 64. Dreamcast was cool, but I still like the PlayStation 2 better, easily. And yeah, so it was never number one for me. Other people, life is going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, like Dr. Uranu, he loves Sega, and he always says that Mario is a loser because the princess keeps getting kidnapped. Sonic seemed to be a more cooler character. I think that's the way they marketed it for a while too, right? Like Sonic was just cooler than Mario.
Yeah, that's how they actually sold systems for the Genesis. Was
Yeah,
Nintendo's for kids, less advertised to the young teens. So basically, the younger brother would get Nintendo, less advertised to
the older,
the teenagers. So
right?
yeah, everything was edgy, and the design, even the design, looks like cool, like the black.
Yeah, yeah, it looks cooler. I have to admit that.
And
And
so yeah, so like Sega, yeah,
uh,
Sonic, all fast and like supposed to be like an attitude.
I mean, that guy just avoided Nintendo all his life. I guess a shout out to Kanan again. It was his idea to do this, and it was really fun. Any last thoughts before we close? Sega?
You're awesome. You might not have been the best, but yeah, I still remember you, buddy.
And that's the way it should be. This is Poet. He is Zaki. We are out.